In this video, we'll go over all of the best pro players for every agent currently in Valorant. What's going on, guys? It's your host Sergeant Frost, and we'll be bringing you something different today. As we head into a new era of professional Valorant, it is important to reflect on and celebrate those who have left their mark on the game at this early stage of its life. These pro players are the best of the best. They make Radiants look like mortals and dominate on the world stage against some of the best the game has. These players not only provide sick highlights, but you can also watch their streams to learn how to use the agents they specialize in, which after all is what we're here for, isn't it? While Astra did take a pretty big nerf early into 2022, it hasn't stopped her from being prevalent at the top level of Valorant. DRX is a team that everyone has had high hopes for since the beginning of the international LAN play, and they have finally met the expectations set for them at Champions. Sure, we all know about Korean Jet, but what about a Korean controller? Mako put up some monstrous performances that powered DRX to their top 3, taking big scalps such as Fnatic and FPX, while also almost reverse sweeping Optic in a best of 5. One of the most notable games he had at Champs was his 74-66 performance against Optic in the lower final, where he had an impressive 78% of rounds with either a kill, assist, or having his death traded, second only to Victor's 80. What makes Mako so good is how in sync he is with his team and their game plan. The stars always align at the right time, and there's no such thing as a misplay in his well-drilled and disciplined team. From a star on the floor to a star on the wall, our next player is Stax. When you think of some of the more supportive agents, the stereotype is that these players aren't crazy fraggers. Stax breaks that mold with his 210 ACS and 1.32 KD. Although he is no longer the hard breach one trick he used to be, he has to be in the conversation for the best breach player in the world. Not like he has a whole lot of competition though. When you watch DRX's games, you can see how crazy his utility usage is on this agent. His perfectly placed flashes enable Buzz and RB, the team's duelist player, to punish the opponents and go for some massively aggressive plays. Stax effectively wrote the book on how to play breach, with many people citing him as one of the main reasons for the team's insane consistency, and for us to put him here on this list. Daddy Brimstone is one of the fan-favorite smokers in Valorant. He is straightforward and easy to understand, something the compositions of Angel often aren't. The Ukrainian IGL is on this list not just because he was over 1,800 rounds played on Brimstone, while still keeping his 225 ACS, but also because he is seen as one of the greatest minds in Valorant right now. FPX wouldn't have been FPX without the crazy antics and strats of their own captain. Cracked out chamber players were in high demand in 2022, with seemingly every Jet and their mom giving a try at playing him. Whether it was CNED, Ye, or Durka, but Cryocell's rise to prevalence last year has helped him earn the title of the best chamber in the game heading into 2023. Cryo has it all: insane aim, a demonic AWP, and he is always in the right place at the right time. You can't ask for much more from your star player, can you? An honorable mention has to go out to Ye and Artis. Both of these players were just as good, and in Ye's case, probably better than Cryo, but we don't want to have the same player on the list twice. Cypher is one of the few agents in the game that can have an impact by simply being AFK. His tripwires and camera have to be constantly used in different positions at the professional level to find impact. Otherwise, the enemy team is just going to pre-fire them, rendering them useless. Nats was unable to attend any of the LANs in 2022, with visa issues plaguing him for Iceland and being one series away from qualifying for both Istanbul and Copenhagen. Some people joke that his name stands for no access to site, as his setups can be nightmarish to deal with, as often they set the standard for what a good Cypher setup looks like in the pro scene. One of the last recorded games Nats played was against Team Liquid, who he will be going with into the 2023 season, where he went 70-50 with 260 ACS playing Cypher and Viper. With a lifetime 199 matches played on Cypher, 230 ACS, and a 1.32 KD, it's not hard to see why many do cite him as the best Cypher in the game. But before we continue, I should quickly let you know that if you're serious about improving, we also offer things like coaching and all-inclusive guides made by some of the best pros in the scene over on our website ProGuides.com. Check it out today for just $8 a month. As mentioned earlier, FPX, now Na'Vi, have always been on the pulse of the meta, trying to adopt new agents and playstyles. It should come as no surprise that Xiao was an early adopter of Fade, considering that he has recorded games on 16 different agents. Like Sick for Sentinels in 2020, he is a Swiss Army knife and he will play whatever's required of him to make the composition work. He has an impressive 1.23 KD and a 142 ADR on Fade. While he has primarily played against the elite of Europe and the rest of the world, his clean, crisp aim and his clutching ability is why he can be considered the strongest Fade player heading into Brazil. I'm just going to put this out here right now. This is very much subject to change, but at present, Mindfreak can be considered to be the best Harbor player in the game. This is because he is the only notable Tier 1 player to have picked him. He played a total of 95 rounds in the Valor India Invitational where his team won the tournament. Paper Rex is one of the most exciting teams to watch, and it's no surprise that they're the first ones to pick up the agent. When the community and other pros have given you the nickname El Diablo, this should strike fear into your opponents. But playing with fear is a concept Ye seemingly doesn't understand, or at least doesn't want to. It should come as no surprise that Ye is the best Jett player in the world, and it should come as an even less of a surprise that many consider him to be the best player in the game outright. Although Ye was playing a dedicated chamber towards the tail end of 2022, with the recent nerfs to him, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ye return to his roots and rifle diff everyone on the server. With the top 3 placing in every Masters tournament besides Champions 2021, being statistically in the conversation for the MVP of them all, as well as actually being the MPV of Masters Reykjavik, it's no wonder why NA teams went crazy to try and sign him when he left Optic. Hands up for anyone who's seen this one coming. Nismo will not be present in Brazil alongside teams like 100 Thieves and C9. Instead, he will be battling it out in the depths of the Ascension League. Nismo missing out on a franchise team spot really surprised me personally, as he is a disgusting flex player, primarily maining KO, Sky, and Raze. If you can remember back to NA Challenger Stage 2 of this year, you should be able to remember Nismo going absolutely nuclear throughout the group stage. In fact, he had a 260 ACS and a 1.52 KD playing KO and 270 ACS overall. This made him the best statistical player in the group stage amongst players like Ye, Dicey, and Tens. He maintained an impressive 79% cast statistic, and a notable game was his bonkers 394 ACS 27-10 blowout against NRG on Breeze. With a lifetime 1.32 KD, 240 ACS, and a high cast percentage, it's safe to say you should keep an eye out on him, especially if NA teams look to make a flex player change. What's it with Turkey and having some of the best players in the world hidden away? If you have ever had the privilege of queuing late night Frankfurt ranked, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Similar to ranked talents, Alpha came out of nowhere unless you were into watching Turkish VRC games. In groups and in playoffs, he was statistically the best player in the league, with the 1.34 KD, 245 ACS, and a high 0.89 kills per round. To put that into context, that was the second highest in the league, with only Social Blee, a Jett and Raze player, edging him out at 0.9 KPR. Alphaher immediately made his mark known at EU VCT, where his inaugural season of Tier 1 play he had an insane 1.44 KD, 270 ACS, and a 0.96 kills per round, the highest in the league. This powered the team to winning the Stage 2 EMEA Challengers, giving them a spot in Copenhagen and a turn in Champions. With an improved roster going into 2023, I think it's fair to say that next year could be Alphaher and Fnatic's year for the taking. And that brings us to our question of the day. Today's question being, what team do you most look forward to seeing in 2023? Personally, I can't wait to see the new Fnatic play. The new roster looks to be stacked from top to bottom. I also really can't wait to see what Leo can do on the world stage, as his call up to a top team has been long overdue. But what's going to be your favorite team to watch? Let us know in the comment section down below. Neon thrives on maps like Fracture and Pearl, so much so that she can also often be seen as a solo duelist or alongside Raze. If done well, Neon plays can dictate a lot of Raze's game, and if you're having an off day, unfortunately it can look like you're completely lost. Victor from Optic, now NRG, is the best Neon in the world because of the value he consistently gets with the space he makes as Neon. 140 ADR and 213 ACS isn't bad considering the role of a Neon player is to essentially run in and die most of the time. Do you remember all the noise of Brazilians wanting Sentinels, specifically Zombs, coming to Brazil? Well, the Brazilians came to Sentinels instead. Pancada was the smokes player for the world champions Loud. With consistently high-level play, world-class mechanics, and having the best cast stat of any Omen player at Champions, I think it's easy to see why he can be considered to be the best Omen player going into 2023. Like most smoke players, he rarely sets the scoreboard on fire. Instead, the kills he does find are usually very high impact. To add to that, he has the lowest first deaths per round of any player in Istanbul at 0.04, which is extremely important for a role as crucial as smokes. Phoenix is a very off-meta pick in Valorant right now, especially in the pro scene, which is why of course Scream used to pull him out on Liquid, the team whose comps will leave you scratching your head but somehow end up working. Scream is, well, he's Scream. We all know the Belgian, we've all heard about his one-taps, and we all have seen that he is a mechanical anomaly. With an insane 290 ACS and a 1.48 KD and a 0.98 kills per round through his career on Phoenix, it's pretty easy to understand why he's the best Phoenix player in the world. On Phoenix, Scream can flash for himself, take the fight, destroy you, and just walk away and heal himself. Perfect for someone who has the skill set that he has. One of the more notable recent Phoenix games for Scream was his 370 ACS masterclass on Ascent vs M3C, the former Gambit roster. He had a quite literally mind-blowing 50% headshot percentage and a 95% cast stat, meaning that he either had a kill, assist, or trade and survived in every round bar one. Durka has been pounding on the duelist role long before players like Ye and Aspes were given the spotlight. He is yet another star duelist who recently moved on to Chamber when he was borderline broken, but his Raze and Jett gameplay has always been S tier. The superstar Finn boasts an impressive 270 ACS and a 166 ADR on Raze, which he primarily played against only Tier 1 opposition since his addition on Fnatic in early 2021. Although Reyna was the most picked agent in ranked in 2022, she was noticeably absent from Tier 1 pro play, with only a small selection of players willing to try and play her, one of them being Jing from Paper Rex. He was the only player to pull a Reyna pick out at Champions, and when he did, he put up incredibly strong numbers. With a strong 25-17 versus Edward Gaming, and a 300 ACS 30-21 against Liquid, I think it's fair to consider him the top Reyna as the numbers and gameplay pass the eye test, and in reality there isn't much competition to his throne. Sage is a character that your secondary duelist or flex player often fills when necessary on maps like Icebox, and in doing so their statistics take a hit. That being said, Shados is no ordinary Sage player. With an insane 1.5 KD and 250 ACS, it's safe to say that he is among the elite when it comes to Sage players. What sets him apart from the rest is his team accomplishments, most notably winning Masters 3 in 2021 and constantly being among the top teams in Europe. Mr. Consistent is the term I would use to describe Xeppaa. He will always play the level expected of him, and when he pops off, he can be the best player of any star-studded iterations of Liquid. With a 1.31 KD and an average combat score of 230 against the highest level of opposition in NA, a strong argument can be made for Xeppaa as being the best Skye in the game and secondary initiator player going into 2023. A good Sova player can take your team to the next level, which is why Sacy is the best Sova player in the game right now. Brazil is a region renowned for its individual skill, and to rise to the top of that scene as a Sova main is incredible. After 2 grand final appearances in 2022, with him most recently winning Champions, you would almost have to be blind to miss on the insane impact that Sacy delivers day in and out. Going into 2023, Sacy will be moving forward with Sentinels alongside his cracked controller Pancata. The bar has been set with 2022, and I'm sure with the roster including Zekin and Tens, Sacy can only look to smash it. I would also like to give an honorable mention to Crashies, formerly of Optic. This guy is undoubtedly the Sova in NA, and he is a freak in the clutch. Listen, we don't like doing players twice on the same list, but come on, it's Nats. When Gambit finally translated their scrim performances to officials, Nats was the player who everyone's eyes always gravitated towards. At the time, his playstyle was unique and revolutionized how Bind was played. The iconic Bind short lurk wall and smoke was popularized by him, and it still leaves teams scared of someone lurking up to this day. However, what separates him from the rest of the pack is his aggressive lurks, anchoring ability, and creativity. He will find a crack in your defense to make you uncomfortable, and he will play to capitalize on it every time, whether it's with his poison or his bullets. If some of you can remember back to our last best pros for each agent video, you can remember that we didn't have a pro for the best Yoru player. Well, now that Yoru has been reworked, Forsaken has seemingly integrated him into his agent pool, which has been fun to watch. With a 1.12 KD and 250 ACS, he is the only player at the Tier 1 level even trying to run Yoru on a consistent basis. He's not just aimlessly TPing around the map like your ranked teammates though. His team has designed the way they play on certain maps to play off his Yoru utility or at least complement it. Well folks, that's our best players for each agent video. Do you agree with all of our picks, or would you want to change some of them? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you like this video and want to see more of it, don't forget to subscribe. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I will see you all again in the next video.